Hello YouTube. I am in the back of a 2001 Ford Escape. Just working on getting this rear hatch open, and wanted to illustrate something. I've already gotten the hatch open. I took the panel off once I got the hatch open. Anyway, you can't fully remove that hatch panel with the hatch closed, which is problematic if you can't get the hatch open. So what I did was I pulled along this edge here on the driver's side. I pulled the top edge off just enough to be able to see the latch mechanism here. And what happens here is sometimes the lock solenoid fails, or more often the wiring up where it goes into the body here in the corner fails. And what happens here is when that fails, this lock actuator is unable to move either in the lock or the unlock position. So now that I got the cover off here and the hatch back into the configuration it was in when I got to the vehicle, just minus the cover being off, I thought I would just do a quick video and show you how I got the rear hatch open. So like I said, I pulled up on the corner here of the plastics just so I could access this area. I couldn't get a good camera angle in there with the panel in place, so I'm doing it without it. So once I had access, you can see, okay, so that's actually the unlock position. So what happened was the actuator was in the lock position, and the handle, which is this rod up here, was just unable to open the hatch. So what I did once I gained access to this area, I just took a long screwdriver and I just pushed along. Okay, so I found this spot right here where the tip of my screwdriver is. I was able to push down on it, which then unlocked the door or the hatch. And from there, I was able to go outside and open the hatch. So this is not gonna cover troubleshooting, but I thought I'd just do a quick video there. So if you have a situation where you need to get your hatch open in an emergency, this is more or less what it looks like, and most likely what is going on, because this lock actuator is not working for whatever reason. So again, just get a screwdriver. Once you get the panel pried up, get a screwdriver, push down, then have somebody outside of the vehicle open the tailgate, or you can reach down here maybe and do it yourself. So the whole reason you cannot get this panel off with the hatch in the closed position is because there are 4 Phillips screws on the bottom edge here that hold the panel on the bottom side, right? 4 on the bottom. And then to add insult to injury, this piece here curls over the window latch, and in order to get that plastic piece over the window latch, the window has to be open. So that's why when the hatch is closed and it's, you know, the lock actuator is messed up for whatever reason, you can only pop the 2 panel clips out here and pull. So just thought I would mention that. Okay, I know I said I wasn't going to cover troubleshooting, but there are some basic things that you can do to check this lock actuator for the rear tailgate on these Escapes. So it's a pretty simple circuit. I've already pulled the dust boot off of here. So what happens is, to lock, it just sends a 12-volt pulse to the lock actuator, and to unlock, it just reverses the polarity. So you should see the polarity switching between, 12 volts, you know, positive, negative one way, and then when you unlock, it should reverse, and positive should be the other wire. I'm not entirely sure which one gets positive with what function, but it really doesn't matter. We just want to make sure that the wiring integrity is good up to this point. So hopefully you can hear me over the sound of the neighbor mowing the lawn. What I did here is I unplugged the connector. As you saw earlier, I removed this, or I slid this rubber weather pack up the wiring here so that I could access the back of the connector or the plug. Can't front probe it because I don't have the appropriate tools to front probe it, so I'm back probing the connector. So what I'm going to do now is I've got this set on 12 volt scale. I'm going to hit the unlock button, and you see we got voltage, right? I'm going to hit the lock button, and you see it went to negative 11 volts. Unlock, positive 11 volts. So we're getting voltage here. It's not the wiring issue that I originally thought it was. So pretty quick, simple troubleshooting. I'm gonna try to get one of these actuators from either the dealership or parts store or even the junkyard. All right, so we've got the hatch open. There's only a few things we need to remove here. So there's a couple of 10 millimeter bolts up here that hold the mechanism as well as the outer handle to the actual hatch, the hatch itself. One Phillips screw, and on the other side of this lock solenoid there'll be two either Phillips or Torx screws that will need to be removed. So I went ahead and loosened all these 10 millimeter nuts here, all four of them, and I pried this clip open with a well, actually I used my pocket knife, but you could use a flathead screwdriver to grab that latch, and it just simply folds down. So what I'll do now is I'll just make some nut marks on this rod here so that when I return the rod into its position here, I can get it back to its original adjustment point. So this is what controls where the rod is in relation to the rest of the mechanism here. So you might be able to see here I used some black marker to kind of mark its location here on the adjustment, and then the rod just pulls out here. So you can see that there's black there. That kind of just tells me that when I snap it back into place there that I'm in the correct spot. You could use a paint marker. That'd probably work better than magic marker, but that'll work. All right, so hopefully you can see here I've gotten the four 10 millimeter nuts off of each side here. Got the rod out of the way. So now we have one more connector, which is just the tailgate ajar switch wiring. Pull that out, and now the rest of this unit will just swing out of the way nicely. So we'll remove these two T20s here. All right, so I've got the last screw here, and just remove it by hand. Now that the lock solenoid's out of the way, simply turn it 90 degrees. I forget which way, it's either this way or that way, and it should just pop off. Now we get the new unit. As you can see here, it's kind of oval shaped here in the end, and we'll just stick it back in the hole and rotate it much just like the other one came out. So then now we'll just line up the mounting holes and put our two Torx screws back in. All right, well, as per usual with Ford, they change things up periodically. The bolt pattern on the old style lock actuator is slightly different than the newer style. So if you're replacing like for like, then you could just go ahead and tilt the mechanism down and screw the new solenoid into it, just like I was attempting to do here. I discovered that the holes don't line up on the older style unit here. Thankfully, I grabbed everything from the junkyard while I was there. So I've got this unit that I'm going to swap into the car. So this one has the correct bolt pattern for this guy right here. So as you can see, the bolt pattern is correct and slightly different than the old style. I suppose you can drill a hole in the old one if you need to, but if you can't find the original style unit and you need to go to the newer style, I highly suggest you get all of this. It makes it a lot easier. So it's not that big a deal. We've got to take these other rods off, And same deal, you want to mark the rod so that you can get the adjustment more or less how it was before you took it off. Okay, so as you can see here, I got the rod marked to where I can figure out how to get it lined up on the new piece. And it just comes off, just like so. And then same on this other one, they just come off like so. Just swing it out of the way. I put the 2 nuts in here temporarily just so this unit wasn't falling on me as I was trying to video for you. Oh, one more thing we'll need to do is remove the electrical piece here, or the electrical connector. So these 2 ears, you just pinch them in with a pair of pliers and then that should just come right out. Leaving the rod for the glass handle. It's going to be kind of tricky for me to do with single hand here, but as you can see, I rotated it and then the rod should just come out. So it should slip right out like so. And now we just take this and swap in the other unit. Since I'm going to be switching out this whole assembly here, I decided to put the lock solenoid back on with its 2 T20 Torx screws. So reversive removal. First bit of business is to make sure we can get this rod oriented with its hole. Okay, so as you can see, I got it hooked in there. So now we just need to pivot it the rest of the way. Okay, like so. And then eventually we just get everything lined up. So let me do that off camera and get back to you. Okay, so I got the 4 10mm nuts tightened back up. So you want to note that the nut with the larger washer goes on the outside. That's the larger one, that's the smaller one. Smaller, larger. And then we got the Phillips screw tightened down. The lock actuator is already tightened down, so it's just a matter of putting everything back together as it was before. We got this connector here that we can now put back in. We can plug the door ajar switch back in. Basically just reverse of how we took everything apart. Lastly, the rods. So I've got the rods more or less lined up the way they were on the old assembly. Moving on over here. Sorry about the poor camera work. You can see it just lines up with my earlier marks. Okay, so looks like everything is tightened down and back together as it was. So last order of business is just to make sure all this stuff works. So we'll give it a lock. We'll give it an unlock. Looks like that's working. Functions check. We'll lock it. Make sure the handles don't work. We'll unlock it. We'll check the glass. Glass opens. Hatch opens. So that's done. Last order of business is to replace or put the trim panel back on. It is mostly held in with this push fit snap retainers and 4 Phillips screws on the bottom here where the handles are. The only hard part about it is you have to get the hatch glass open so that this part can slip over the glass latch. Kind of hard to juggle by yourself. You got to pop the glass open, stick this piece over the latch, and from there it just pushes on. Okay, let's see if I could do this before the rain really starts falling. I got this piece over the latch, got the glass open as you can see, and now the tailgate trim panel more or less sits in place there, and now you can start pushing on it to engage those fasteners. As you can see here, I've got the panel fastened in here. I've got all 4 of these Phillips screws screwed in here, and really when you're refastening those push fit connectors, you just hit it where you know the connectors are, where the fasteners are, and you'll hear it snap in place. Click, click. Well, there you have it. Quick video on how to get into the back hatch area of your first generation Ford Escape, 2001 to approximately 2007, these lock actuators fail a lot. And unfortunately, there's no aftermarket lock solenoid replacement available, and Ford does not sell just that piece by itself, so you've got to buy the whole handle mechanism. I think it's referred to as a handle assembly from Ford. So if you like the video, please give it the thumbs up, click down below for that like button. If you haven't already, consider subscribing to my channel. I try to post videos like this whenever I have time to. The subscriptions and the likes are very much appreciated and help me out a lot, and it also helps keep me motivated for doing videos like this and continuing to grow the channel. If you have any comments or concerns, please leave that in the comment section below. Hope you have a great day, and we'll see you next time.